Dude, I don't know. It's a lot to talk about all at once. A lot of leaks coming in that I think nobody was really expecting. And I don't think there is a better thing for us to discuss and to come back as a duo and chat about than just this, monstrous new like info that we're getting, which I want to also preface might not be true. Like, I think almost everything we're talking about today is very speculative. It is not officially revealed. Don't really know all the facts yet. So in proper leaks fashion, we're going to dissect it and, make all of our plans around it. So
yeah, 100%. I think we should set some context because I don't know if you saw it happening live, but there was a guy, shout out to Pan. Pan was in the league's Discord causing absolute havoc, dissecting the URLs of the reveals on the grid from the blog post, uncovered all of these icons. Whether or not they hold up to be true or not is we'll find out, but seems to have given us quite a lot to go off. And I think the really interesting thing, don't know if you saw this, was that in one of their first reveal kind of trailer teasers, they showed the grid and some of the tiles in the grid were highlighted in like a lighter gray color that almost had the exact same pattern as the reveals that have been uncovered today. Did you see that?
I did actually. Yeah, it got me thinking. I saw like people were like looking into it. Like, God, he's chopping a maple tree in the trailer. And it's like, whoa, it's all been revealed to us this whole time. So I thought that was kind of cool. But I definitely, I woke up this morning like pretty late and stuff like that. And like the league's Discord was popping off. My Discord was popping off. I checked the official reveals and saw the Inferno thing. And then I went back and saw what everybody was talking about. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cute. Like people are coming up with all these like fan-made relic ideas and stuff like that. Like, oh, that's... And then I'm like, wait. There's actually so much more going on here that I was not aware of.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty cool.
It's incredible. So we've got a lot to talk about, and I figure there's no better place to start than the fact that as of right now, we think we have the first full line that we can see, and it is the free-to-play line, starting from the Ogress down. And we're just going to go through the leaks, so to say. Chat through them, what we think they might be, talk about the rewards and how game-changing they are, and the fact that we've both made videos on tier 1 relics and our stances on that, and now everything's just been blown out the water in true leagues fashion. It's really, you know what? It's given me that leagues feeling again. Even though it's not leagues, I'm so happy that we're chatting about this. Yeah,
it's exciting, and I think getting like a bigger picture of it, seeing more stuff, and like you mentioned, I think seeing the first column done, even though like we think it's the free to play column, I think just that alone, it's like if you get to start planning like your route. You get to start thinking of like what things you want to go for, and mainly I think what are the hardest things that you're actually like going to be challenged with, because obviously I think some of the stuff we've seen has been pretty easy so far.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's nice that we finally got some things that look a little bit more challenging as well. So we'll get into that. Let's start with the free-to-play tiles. And the very first one I'm going to touch upon that isn't in this graphic that I'm looking at, but was kind of revealed as the last leak, is just below the combatant perk. So I think we're going to skip over combatant because we both talked about it in our own videos. But right below the combatant perk, or the combatant task of killing the Ogress, there's now one that shows a total level or like a skill icon. And the reward behind that is just an orb that says XP. My initial thoughts off the rip, and I think quite a lot of people in the league's community have the same kind of feeling, is that this will just be a relatively easy total level requirement. Who knows, could be something like 750 or 1,000 total level, which will be pretty quick with the XP multipliers, and that the reward will either be boosting your XP multiplier even more, or one of your favorite relics, and I don't know if I'm just throwing you in here, but who knows, it could relate to Equilibrium as well.
Yeah, I think I think I'm of the same boat where I definitely think it's going to be some kind of total level requirement. I also think it'll be something experience related, because that kind of makes sense. I don't think they're going to give Equilibrium right off the bat. It's just too good to give to everybody. Clearly, you got to work much harder for it. Yeah. So yeah. But I like the idea of everybody getting access to it. So stop denying it. But yeah, I think it'll probably be like an experience multiplier of sort. I think that would kind of my biggest guess, just because they have said that they do want, boosted experience rates to exist. And I almost like the idea of like starting a little bit like slower, if that makes sense. Like I kind of wonder if like maybe your experience rates are actually slower at the beginning, and then they like you ramp up more aggressively over time.
Yeah.
I think having that as like an option would be pretty cool, especially because like, you could go for that almost whenever you want. Like the total level is such an open-ended thing to go for. Like it's not like one specific thing. And I mean, if you were to ask me right now, like how do you get 1,000 total level? I have no idea. I need to sit and think about this for like a couple days or something like that. There's a lot to think about there, on top of everything else. So it's a pretty interesting puzzle, and I'm curious how people will solve it.
Just taking what you said there on the XP scaling up, I totally agree, because we both come to this realization. I think we both knew it as soon as some of these first reveals came through. You're going to be so much more powerful than you will be in a league, because you're going to have all of these relics. You're not going to be region restricted. And I feel like starting off the rip with like an 8 times XP multiplier, it worries me a little bit, because I wouldn't want to feel like I've completed the game mode in a week. I know that's not going to be the same for maybe people who can't dedicate as many hours to it, but I would really like, as you've just mentioned there, a slightly slower start that just takes off as you reach total level milestones or tick off challenges. I think that's a good way to go about it. Keep some longevity in there for people who do want to play for longer, right?
Right, and definitely, like, I think one of the things is that when you start at the very, very beginning, like in leagues, there's so much more, like, I almost want to say like chore tasks to do. I know that sounds really bad, but there's a lot of like tasks that have you go do this. But with Gridmaster, it's not the same way, right? Like I think, you start and there's like maybe 6 or 7 things that you are just going right for. And because of that, if it was something that's like, I think if you're a little too accelerated, then there would be that issue. And I think that instead looking for like, okay, well, how do I go for like a skilling start where I want to get, 30 in all my skills, because obviously experience is also exponential too, right? So if you want to get your total level up, you're actually going to be focusing on a lot of different skills. It's, like let's say you go animal wrangler, 99 fishing, it's not really going to help you that much. Getting 1,000 level, you're actually going to want an even spread. And I think that actually makes those early decisions more interesting. Same 100%. With Power Miner. Sorry, I don't want to throw you guys under the bus too much.
Hey, listen, I'm the Wrangler ambassador here, and I have to admit the Power Miner is still really good, but I think that actually takes us really nicely onto the next tile, because I don't think we're going to be locked into one choice anymore. We had J-Mods, we had Mod Sani, shout out to Mod Sani. We had Mod Sani on Reddit and on X confirming that you could only pick one relic at the very beginning. However, the very next tile underneath this total level and XP multiplier tile is a picture of logs that I think we've both kind of agreed is likely a maple log. And the reward behind this is the exact same icon as the starting 3 relics that we get from the tutorial tile. So listen, I'm going to hand over to you to let me know what you think, but I think we might end up here with all 3.
I 100% agree. Yeah. I think that's definitely how it's looking and stuff like that. Like it's the exact same icon, which again, we don't know. Like this could be a placeholder for something. It could be something entirely different, but I think that very, very early on, you'll have access to all 3 of them. And it's just going to be a question of like, what order do you pick them? Which I really love, because I think one of the things that they've kind of talked about with the Gridmaster is that they don't want to give you everything, right? They don't want to give you all the task lists, all the relics and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And that's awesome, but it also makes those like day one decisions so much harder, because you don't have early information. And I think for a lot of people, they were kind of like, okay, how am I supposed to make this decision? How am I supposed to think about what I want when, it's going to change so much? And I think just making it less of a hard line decision and more of just like something that you want to focus on early, but you'll still get all 3 of them. That makes it, I think, way more fun for your like hour 1 plans, but not really your day 1 plans, if that makes sense, because you'll have everything probably in a day or 2.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what I was going to say. I was going to say that, to be honest, the level at which we have to assume maple logs quite early on. You could get that woodcutting level even if you're not a jacker very quickly. You know, you could have all 3 starting relics within the first few hours of playing quite easily. If you so wanted to go out of your way to do that, I think there are better options. But I think, again, that gives you the choice. Am I going to go out of my way to have all 3 of these tier 1 relics, or do I want to plan to pick up some of this ridiculous power that's in some of these other tiles that we've now had revealed? Yeah, it's going to be a hard choice.
Yeah. One thing I did want to also say is that now Lumberjack, obviously a lot better. So obviously everybody who said Lumberjack is good, congratulations, you've been redeemed. Good foresight there. No, I do love that though. When like new information comes out and then people will retroactively think that their arguments are better about certain relics, and I'm like, okay, wait, how was I supposed?
Yeah.
Now you did mention getting all 3. It has only been shown 2 of these icons. I think the guess is that on the other side of the board, we got the gold ore, and I don't know about you, but my personal guess is that that's also going to have a another one of the tier 1 relics, basically.
Yeah, it makes sense, doesn't it? Maple logs are around that 40-ish requirement. Gold ores around that 40-ish kind of level requirement. So to me, it makes sense. We don't have the reveal of what the reward is behind the gold ore tile, but I just have to assume that those 3 right in the middle, the tutorial tile and the tile above and below, are just all tier 1 relics. Totally agree. I think you're going to have all 3. We do only have 2 right now, and that would be interesting. I do have to say, you know, playing devil's advocate, if they did only give us 2 choices and you had to lock one out, I wonder how many more people would still be left with Jacker remaining. I don't know what you think. I had people in my Discord saying Wrangler was the weakest relic and that they'd pick Jacker up after Power Miner. But yeah, I think we're going to get all 3, but I think it makes an interesting dynamic if we only get 2.
Yeah, and I think one thing that's also interesting about only getting like 2 of them is that, you know, if we have maple logs and we have gold ore as like a task, right? Like, and my first thought was like, okay, well, why would you pick Animal Wrangler then? Wouldn't that be one of your later picks? Like, because if there's no like fish one, right? So I don't know, maybe we'll see a fish one as well or something. And then maybe once you get the 3rd one, there's like, once you've completed all set, then like you get something even more. Because I do think it would like, I don't think that they would ever design the board such a way where there's like 7 fishing tasks and like 1 wood cutting task. Like,
yeah,
obviously I don't think they would do that. So I hope that there is some kind of, you know, level 40 catch a lobster task that's like to the left or the right.
Yeah, and even if not, we'll get onto this once we've been through this kind of full line completion, but there is a tile there with a shark on it, and we can come back to that. But even if it's a slightly later requirement for Wrangler, you know, that might actually incentivize people to think, well, you know what, I liked Wrangler, but now there's less of an incentive to have it early. That just locks me into Power Miner or Jacker, and I'll come back for Wrangler later.
Yep, and I think that like totally makes sense. I think we should get back to that though and finish off like the free to play.
We'll carry on.
Because this is, I think, at least we're kind of assuming this is a free to play row. Also, maples are free to play, right? I think they added them somewhere.
Where?
Yeah, isn't there like
why am I struggling right now?
Yeah, I'm like trying to think. I'm like, wait, I know you can burn maple logs, but you can't like cut them. So I don't actually like. So I don't know. I was a little curious about that. And then I was thinking gold ore in Brimhaven, and I was also like, ooh, but that's members, right? You can't go to Brimhaven. No, I know there's some other gold rocks though. Surely somewhere else that I'm missing. But I was just thinking about that with maple, where I'm,
Are there no gold rocks in? I might be wrong here. Fally Mine, does that not just have a couple gold rocks? Might have some.
I don't know. I feel like I could not list you the gold rocks in this game.
Let's be honest, who goes into Fally Mine all that often anyway? I don't know them. Yeah, no. But yeah, we're assuming maple logs that this is the free-to-play tile, so yeah, you must be able to get them from somewhere. Maybe the fact that it is maple logs is the challenge, is find out where you can cut some maple logs in free-to-play, goddammit.
Yep.
Okay, so next tile. So below the ones that we think are going to give you a tier 1 relic, we have the first boss tile. The first official boss tile, it's Bryophyta. What do you think to that?
Well, let's be careful when I say official. None of this is official yet. You know what I mean? Like, it's all a little unofficial. But yeah, Bryophyta, which is the moss giant And one of the really cool things about it is that they've now made changes to it where you can actually, like, you can kind of kill it as many times as you want. However, you'll still need that like mossy key for the very first entry. So this isn't like you won't be able to just go in and, you know, kill the boss. You'll still have to at least one time, you'll probably have to go get a mossy key from the giants, which is like not that bad of a grind, I hope, but it's something.
No, I don't think it's that bad of a grind at all. You know, now especially we have the elemental weaknesses. You know, they're weak to fire. There's a lot of safe spots in free to play for Moss Giants. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be that bad, especially with boosted drop rates. And from memory, keys are boosted.
I think so. Yeah, I think they are boosted.
So I think that this is going to be a pretty chill task to get into. Whether it's going to be a very easy task to tick off early is another question, because Bryophyter, although it is a free-to-play boss, although it is a bit of a pushover once you get to the mid-game, if people are planning on rushing this line, you know, the first free-to-play line, that's going to be your first point where you think, can I actually do this at this point? So it's going to be really interesting to see if people are rushing this for that full line completion, how they get on with that tile, because that's the only tile in this row that I can see being a bit of a, right, I now need to go out of my way to get some combat levels, or, you know, make sure I'm prepared for this.
Yeah, and I think with Protect from Mage, this boss is a complete joke. Like, it does nothing at all. It's a little harder without that. It's got like poison, quite a bit of damage and stuff. They have done a lot of like changes to this fight though that makes it actually real cool and pretty like straightforward. Like killing the ads now is you just kind of click on them like you would with like the TOA skulls or anything like that. It's actually really, really
Man,
cool.
it used to be so annoying. You used to have to you used to have to right click your axe, use it on the guys, and I'm sure occasionally it would have like a chance to fail, or like it just wouldn't work, or they respawn instantly. There were so many janky things about it. So much better now.
They did a good job. And I think it is like a good like early game boss now that just, I'm glad that they have made it like a pretty cool experience and stuff. So
yeah 100%. So the reward from this though, let's talk about the reward from this, because this could be a lot of things, but I think the thing that stands out to me that makes the most sense, this being potentially, again speculation, this being potentially the first boss that you get into and do as a reward, is this a universal combat buff, you know, to attack speed, or maybe to the, you know, strength of the attack style you're using, something along that lines. A combat buff is what I think we're both thinking here.
Yeah, I wasn't sure about this icon at first. This is actually the same icon of the combat masteries when those got like unveiled, right? And what really got me thinking about this was actually seeing the tier 1 relic coming back a second time. It made me think that maybe you do have to pick one style from doing it. So you're going to be choosing melee, mage, or ranged, and somewhere on this board are 2 other styles, right? So I think you will get all 3 of them, but early on you're going to have the one pick. And in a lot of ways, to me, it feels very reminiscent of last leagues. I remember the giant that I killed for my combat mastery was the moss giant outside of Bryophyta's lair, and I think it's kind of cool to like, you know, have that same experience, but now you have to fight like the boss version, which is very much a step up, and they spot it. So it's a cool little like experience.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's really interesting around only picking one, because I have it in my head that, I suppose quite naive of me to think this, but that we would just get universal combat buffs. Anytime we got a combat buff, it would just be a slight amp up in power for all 3 styles, thinking that we'd be way more overpowered than in a league. But if it is just one style, I have to admit that's far more interesting, because you then have to think, right, based on the remaining tiles or the path that I want to take next, which style is going to benefit me the most? You know, if I'm a Wrangler, clearly it's ranged. You know, I want to get into chins or something like that. If I'm a power miner, again, maybe it is ranged, so I can use those steel throwing knives, get the most out of minimum potential. Who knows? I think having just one choice, that's way more interesting. I hope it is that.
And especially because, like, I mean, we haven't talked about it too much, but like with the Lesser Demon, right? That is one of those like universal buffs. Like, it helps you all over the place. And I think that if I had to guess, most of them are going to be universal. I don't think they want to like limit you to one combat style, but I think getting that big boost early, it's going to give a bit more of that decision making. And I mean, it's a lot harder when you're only stuck with one style. I think mage is sort of like the go-to for a lot of people, but like you mentioned with Wrangler and ranged, like suddenly that's a really good option too. And yeah, it's just, I feel like I always like to think about like trying to make things as difficult to decide as possible, if that makes sense. I always love those choices. And
that's what makes leagues fun though, isn't it? It's the fact that you're locking down a choice and that you could make a decision that you regret, or you actually love it and you want to try something else on a different playthrough.
Yeah, and I think especially again, I think that you won't be combat locked to any style, if that makes sense. Like you're not only getting those, I think you will get them all by the end. I think to me that makes those choices kind of a lot more fun, because you can make a choice without having to lock it in for, like, you don't have to make any late game decisions, right? You're not thinking like, oh, I want to do ranged because I need it for the Inferno, right? Like none of that I think is like a consideration. So I like that you get more of like the early game options there instead.
Yeah, 100%. Nice. So the final tile, if you're happy to move on to that, we already know about. We don't really have to talk about this, but kill the lesser demon in the Wizard's Tower. Man, that literally is the biggest roadblock in this line completion, in my opinion. Even though it's one of the easiest ones to do, you're going to be waiting in a line, man. It's going to suck.
Yeah, and it's so tough to talk about this one without knowing what the whole column is. And while we do know the whole column, we don't even know what the reward is yet, right?
Yeah.
Like I looked into it. I did like kind of like my own, bro math at how much minimum potential is and if it's like okay to skip, and it's not like, it's like maybe 25%, 30%. It's like pretty good. However, that to me, that's a big question, is what am I locking myself of from the column? Because I mean, if it's something really damn good, if it's something that I really, really want early, I'm gonna have to really start thinking about that. Like, I'm gonna have to go find something to do in line, bring some alks, bring some fleshing material. Like, I don't know. That's just like,
yeah, so funny from that from the reveal video that there's just loads of people in line and different sets of gear. Some people there in barrows who have clearly had to come back to queue again. People alking, people fletching. Yeah, really is gonna suck if the reward from that line feels like it's such an early game boost, propels you into the mid game. Yeah, it's going to suck to have to come back and do that. You might have to get, this is something that someone in my Discord has done. They're going to get their alt account, change it to a very similar name, literally like just swapped a couple vowels so it looks exactly the same. And then they're going to log in on the tile underneath of their alt once they're at the front of the queue. Man, it's a good strat. It's a good strat. What can I say?
Yeah, I was thinking like, show up, be like, all right, 25 bonds, whoever gives me their spot in line or something, you know what I mean? But I don't know. Yeah. The other thing that I think about this whole like column and stuff like that, when you're thinking about those like these kind of relics that are sort of like you're dealing with competition against other people, is I think it's also a really cool like a catch-up mechanic for anybody who is starting a little bit late, right? Because I mean, I'm just being honest, like hour 1, very low chance of getting this done. 10 hours, like if you're starting late or something like that, you're going to be able to do this like literally right away. And I think that's kind of,
well, like 10 hours in?
Starting, maybe not. I don't know about 10 hours in, but I think definitely like it's going to be a lot easier to get done. Let's just say it's easier to get done,
Fair. I'm of a different opinion. I think that like day 1, day 2, this isn't something you can just run in and do. Like there's always going to be a queue. Like maybe the queue will be shorter at the end of day 1, but I think that based on the time that it's launching, quite awkward times for both, you on the in the US and even me in the UK in the middle of the day, really. Most people aren't going to start playing until like 4 or 5 hours after launch, realistically. So I think this is going to be a nightmare for the first 24 hours at least.
Yeah, that's probably fair. It's going to be pretty bad.
You're just being optimistic, man.
It will get better over time,
Yeah,
so
it will.
I think definitely like, and I think that's kind of cool because I know a lot of people do sort of, they feel bad if they like can't make it for like the day 1 experience, and I don't know. I kind of just think it's like a cool little idea to have some little bonus that you get to cash in on really, really fast and kind of just get started, because the damage from it is obviously best in the early game when your max hit's not very high.
Yeah, no, exactly. And some of us in my Discord also ran some calcs on it, and it's obviously huge. If you're managing to get it off the bat, it's going to help you propel through getting combatant. You know, Ogress kill is going to be really, really quick, even with a very low level. It's going to help you get into even things like Briar Fighter, I suppose, because you're going to be getting more XP as a result of the higher hits, right? However, now that we know that there's a potential total level tile that might give you a higher XP multiplier, I don't know, it does feel a bit more like a bait task almost. I guess, like you say, we'll have to wait and see what's behind the full line completion bonus tile. That's going to be the make or break.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, I think that to me, because obviously, like, if I think you can get the others done probably really, really fast within a couple hours.
Yeah.
Tops. And I think that's the only one that I'm looking at that I'm like, I'm not touching day one, you know? So
yeah.
It'll be interesting to see.
100%. Yeah. Okay. So there are two tiles that I think we could probably get into next that are equally kind of early game-ish. And they're the tiles either side of the gold ore. I feel like these would be good to talk about next because they're things that most people know about or should know about by now, and they are the Temporos and the Gemstone Crab tile. Should we start with Temporos?
Yeah, Temporos is requires level 35 fishing. I actually just realized that it's actually pretty close to those 40 stat requirements of the others, so maybe Temporos is actually sort of the fishing equivalent where you have to go and do it, because, you know, I'm not gonna lie, getting to 35 fishing without Animal Wrangler is suck. That might honestly be enough to change my mind. That's gonna be pain.
I suppose it's all based on quest like completions as well, because fishing contests you can do off the bat, that's going to get you 35 fishing with XP multipliers, right? So it might not be too bad, but it would be a pain to go out of your way when you've just invested in a tier 1 relic that you want to get use out of, right? So yeah, I agree with you. But I guess what we don't know is this a Temporos kill? Is this a Temporos unique? Because if it's a unique, Wrangler stonks just went up even more, right? You're going to be getting so many more reward permits than anyone else. If you have Animal Wrangler, you're going to be catching fish quicker at Temporos, automatically cooking, 50% of it. You're going to be zooming through that. If it is just get a Temporos kill though, everyone's kind of on the same footing. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be too hard because it is a green tile, isn't it?
Yeah, I think this is definitely going to be on easier side of things. I personally think that Temporos kill is probably, like, if I had to bet on it, I would say Temporos kill. Just Temporos unique gets into, it could be a little unlucky and stuff like that. I mean, I guess if they include like soaked pages, if they include like soaked pages and stuff like that, and that's not as bad. And personally, I kind of like that stuff because I think having like a little bit of variety is good. But I guess on the subject of Temporos, I think it's still going to be I think it's like a good early thing to go for. It's going to be fun to see people going for it early and stuff. And also, like, there is a solo option available as well, which I love solo Temporos. I think it's really, really sweet. I am excited to see Animal Wrangler go nuts on it. I was killing Temporos in one down back in the Infernal Harvest Gang era. So killing Temporos in one cycle is so much.
It's great.
I think a lot of people will enjoy that.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun. I remember anyone who didn't pick Wrangler, I think they struggled to even get one reward permit because it was just going down so quick with all the Wranglers at Temporos. Yep. Man, it was so good. I remember
there were times too, not to reminisce fully, but I remember sometimes like you could tell you had like a lot of not Wranglers on your team because like your kill times would just slow down and you're like, all right, everybody like show me what you're using. I gotta check this. You guys are slowing it down.
Yeah. So what do we think the reward is behind this? It is, as of right now, and this could just be a placeholder, it's just the crafting icon. And I'm honestly drawing up blanks on this one. Originally, I thought, is this going to be similar to how combatant works? Is this going to be like when you earn skill in a certain skilling skill, and that's a bit of a mouthful, when you earn XP in a skilling skill, does it put XP into like your crafting instead, like a skilling equivalent of combatant, or what could it be? Have you got any ideas?
Yeah, so I think when I first saw these, my reaction was like, oh, maybe you just get like a instant like 99 or something like that. You know, maybe you just get to like go fast. However, which we'll talk about after, I'm sure, but there's that wood cutting icon, which kind of instantly told me like, okay, well, definitely not going to do that, because then why would you ever pick lumberjack, right? So I don't know. I'm really kind of stuck on this one. I don't think crafting is like a super tough skill to train, because you'll have like production prodigy with cutting gems. That's like I mean, that's like a League's classic right there. So I don't think crafting is going to be like the hardest skill to train. I do really like what you said though about like maybe picking different, production skills to, loop into. So crafting gives you some smithing or something like that. And I think that would be actually kind of cool. But yeah, I don't know. It's weird because I just don't have anything to really like base it off of or something like that. Maybe it just gives you some jewelry or something like that. Maybe that would be a cool thing. Like it just gives you the early like, hold on, wait a minute. I'm just thinking here, okay? What if it gave you like the eternal jeweler, where you get all the different like all the jewelry unlocked, and that would, maybe there's another teleport relic about trees that could be the equivalent.
Yeah, it's really difficult, right? Because if production prodigy wasn't a thing on this board, I would immediately, my brain would go there and I'd think, right, well, the crafting icon is production and the woodcut icon is harvest. And there you go, we're sorted. But now this just, it just confuses me. I like the idea of the eternal jeweler though, because that's one thing we haven't had confirmed yet, is those more utility style travel around the game relics. Some fan favorites like Clue Compass or the Eternal Jeweler, Fairy's Flight, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I'd love to see something like that, but then it does make me wonder, okay, what the hell is the woodcutting icon then?
Well, I mean, it could be maybe it could be like a spirit tree teleport or something like that,
It could. Should we get into that? Because that's locked behind that's locked behind the gemstone crab tile, which, could be very, very simple. It is an easy tile, just kill the gemstone crab, or it could be one that I think would arguably be a hard task to complete, which would be mine the gems off the back of the gemstone crab, which would mean you need what? To be in the top 10? Not top 10.
Like top 16 or something.
Is it top 16? I can't remember what the cap is, but yeah, you'd need to be in the top percentage of damage dealt to that crab, which I feel like in the first day or two is just going to be a nightmare, because people are going to be running there, rushing there, everyone's going to be blitzing it, it's going to be horrible. Yeah, I'm hoping it's just the gemstone crab kill.
Okay, you know what? I take it back. I actually do want it to be the mine the rocks for the gemstone crab.
Do
I
you?
think that actually does sound cooler, because I think, okay, so unlike the lesser demon, the good thing about mining the rocks is that even if you fail, like you're still getting experience for it. You're not just sitting there aimlessly, right? Like you're actually still getting something done. Yeah. And also like, if it is 16 people, that's like every 10 minutes, 16 people are going to get it, and they're probably going to move on, right? Like,
imagine.
I don't think someone's going to sit there and be like, you know what? I'll just go for MVP twice. Like,
you've got the one guy who got to the Wizard's Tower first, who sat there, minimum potential, hitting minimum 5s, just staying there for like an hour, just absolutely trolling. That would be so funny.
Right. And I think the other thing is that I think it kind of gives you this like interesting idea of like, okay, like how do I like min-max my damage going to the crab? Like, do I pick up a strength potion along the way? You know what I mean? Like, what kind of things do you make? I think if it was kill one crab though, or like at least like do some damage to the crab, I can already imagine somebody like showing up and the crab's at like 1%, and they're like booking it over, trying to get the hit off like last second, and it goes down. They're like, oh, I gotta wait 10 minutes now for the whole crab.
Damn. Yeah, I would. Personally, I think it does make it more interesting to be in that, that MVP slot to mine the gems off the back of it. However, I think it just opens itself to not necessarily a lot of trolling, because we've already got that with Wizard's Tower. I don't think that would mean they wouldn't do it. But because it's an easy tile, because of what it's surrounded by, I would just have to assume that with the time investment, 10 minutes to kill the crab, less, like you say, if you come along and it's already half dead or whatever. Yeah, that sounds about right to me, that it's just, get kill credit for one gemstone crab kill.
Yeah, one thing also for those who might not know with Varlamore, you do have to do the quest or whatever to actually unlock it. I'm going to assume that's auto-completed, hopefully. However, to actually get over to the crab, like, you can just book it there literally as soon as you get to Varlamore. You don't even need like the bird transport.
No.
So if that's not available, you don't have to like do the quest or anything. Like, you can just run across the whole region. And man, I don't know. I kind of love that. Like, I want to see a mob of people like, booking it, whole continent of Varlamore, you know, crossing the mountains and stuff like that, and just hitting the crab.
That's exactly what's going to happen, because I recently did this on my hardcore. Unlocked Varlamore, realized I didn't have the requirements or wasn't ready to do the first kind of Varlamore quest line there to unlock the Quetzal transport system. So yeah, I had to just run across, which is really good. It's nice to know that you've got access to all of that. You know, you can even go as far as Auburn Vale. You can go everywhere around Varlamore, just the birds make it easier. So yeah, it's going to be funny to see the massive train running through Varlamore when people go to do this, because I guess it depends on what the reward is and whether it's worth it. This woodcutting icon is a little too vague for me. I still have no idea what it could be referring to.
Right, yeah, and just quickly before I talk about like the reward, I guess, is I think I really like any one of these tiles that are almost like they're instant out of the gate. Like, you can go and make this your literal like minute one plan. The more of those, I think, the more interesting things you can kind of start off with. It adds like a lot of variety, and like I really love that. Yeah,
because, you know, when it came to leagues, I think both of us ended up doing a starting route guide slightly differently. However, let's be honest, most of it overlapped. I think with the way this is shaping up, there's so many different ways you can already go. Depending on your tier 1 relic, you might have more of an incentive to go in a different direction. But yeah, I love that there's so many options that you can do off the bat. Which one do you want to do first?
Even combat, I mean, again, leagues has always kind of been this thing where like you start skilling at the beginning, and now I feel like you can honestly just go kill an ogress, go kill the crab, like pretty cool. But okay, for the woodcutting reward, again, I thought this might be like some kind of woodcutting buff, but I you know, with lumberjack, right, it's like, okay, probably not that. So yeah, I'm not really sure. I was thinking it's might be, you know, some kind of fairy's flight thing. That's just my sort of idea based off eternal drawer from crafting. And again, teleport relics are pretty nice, and I think running all the way over to crab, that might be a nice little benefit.
You know, I think these images do look a little too generic. Like, I feel like they really are placeholders, and that crafting one will change and the woodcut one will change. I mean, feel free to come and mock us if that doesn't happen, but I really think they're placeholders, because right now, it's anyone's guess. They just don't look like they sit right. You know? Yeah,
they're just, it's weird. We don't have anything to base it off. They just don't feel like league stuff, right? Like, it's just, so it's probably a placeholder. Again, you know, this whole thing be wrong too, so who knows, right? Like, we're not trying to go too far into it. But I'm hoping we do see some teleport relics coming from these like early kind of boxes, because I mean, you mentioned going and doing fishing contests, and I'm thinking like, man, I don't want to walk all the way over to the Catherby. Are you kidding me? Like, that'll take me like 25 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Like, minigame teleport to Castle Wars and then still have to run halfway across. It's crazy. I really hope we see some utility early on, and that could be what the bonus tile is. I'm not saying it's going to be one particular utility relic, but, you know, one thing that was in one of the teasers, it was flashed up at the end of their official kind of dev blog video, was the rotten potato. And the rotten potato is a dev tool that they use to do almost anything: spawn NPCs, kill players, you know, they use it to ban bots, all that kind of stuff. However, could this just be slightly dialed down? It's not going to be the rotten potato, obviously. However, could it just be an all-in-one utility item? You know, it's got all the Clue Compass teleports. It's got all the Fairy's Flights teleports. It's got all of the Eternal Jeweler teleports. That would be a really, really strong first column reward, because it would just help you get everywhere instantly.
Yeah, I think especially, you know, it would get, I think, a little bit tough when you have like 8 or 9 different like relic items. Usually, you know, you have like, I have like 2 or 3 in my leagues. I'm starting to think like, man, if I have like, you know, 10 of them, just always, it'd be kind of cool to have that all in one that can just kind of do it all. So
imagine the UI though, man. Imagine that list of teleports. That would be crazy.
It's gonna go crazy. There's gonna be like a keybind, like you're gonna have to do like a little piano stroke or something. Like, it's gonna be crazy.
Yeah. absolutely. All right.
Should we start talking about the one-offs that are just kind of hanging around?
Yeah, I honestly think these are the juicy ones. These are the really juicy ones. And should we move on to the one immediately next to the free-to-play tile, the Max Cape?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's talk about that one.
So, yeah, where do we start? We have a Max Cape icon. Are we maxing in Gridmaster for a reward? Do we have to max to get bingo?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I always love maxing in League. It's like a really unique way to approach the game, and you have to think about every single skill, not just like what your relics empower. You have to also think about the other stuff. Now, again, when if we do have access to every harvest relic, all production, prodigy, all that stuff, like maxing is going to be a lot easier than I think people give it credit for. We also don't know the experience rates. It might end up being way higher. The big thing though that I noticed, and I'm sure a lot of people did, was it is actually considered a medium task. And I'm not saying that League's tasks are always perfectly balanced, but I would probably say maxing is a little bit tougher than like getting a unique from TOA. So,
yeah,
I'm not sure where that stands.
Something's not adding up there. And I think we spoke about this just before we jumped on a call, which was that, is this again another placeholder icon? And actually, could it just be get 99 in a skill? That would make a lot more sense. And to me, that is more fitting for an orange tile, because you've got your tier 1 relic, that's your route in. You pick Jacker, you're going 99 woodcut. You pick Wrangler, you're going 99 fishing, and you pick Power Mine, you're going 99 mining, most likely. That would make the most sense to me. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, and I think it fits better with like the Gridmaster giving sort of a problem with a lot of different options on how you want to solve it. Kind of like what we talked about if there's a total level task as well. Like how do you get total level 1,000? There's a lot of different ways, right? If it was 99 any skill, you could go for one of those, gathering relics, or maybe you get production prodigy and you literally just sit there and fletch all the way to 99, right? Like you just, which I don't think you would need 99 fletching for the rest of Gridmaster, but just to get that done like right away and just knock it off, like you could do that. You could wait, your combats will naturally get to 99 really, really fast. Like maybe you do just go prayer and just, full send it on that. Like there's a lot of interesting things I think that change with 199 becoming skill. And I know even in previous leagues, like that was a reason why like thieving was so cool, was because you could just knock that off and get it was like it was a big like 200 point task or something. Like you could just knock that off so fast with one of them. And I would love to see something like that. I think if I had to guess, I would probably say it's get 99 in any skill as opposed to maxing. Yeah. And this is either just a placeholder or they didn't want to pick a specific skill cape to use.
Yeah, and that would make the most sense to me, especially considering the tile that's next to it. But I don't want to get into that just yet because we've got the reward to talk about first. In terms of the reward, we both, before we jumped on this call, we said, yo, bro, what the hell is this icon? What could this be? And we're sat there like scrambling our brains. Honestly, I really don't know what this could be relating to. For me, off the bat, what it could kind of look like is almost like a reflection relic, kind of like absolute unit back in the day. It doesn't have the same icon because that was a shield, but I don't know, just kind of riffing off the bat, could it be something that does kind of reflect damage as you take it? I have no idea.
Yeah, I think one thing that's a little tricky is that we don't always know the kind of general theme of some of these in terms of like what kind of rewards are attached to what kind of like relics. So far we have seen a lot of like combat stuff and skilling stuff kind of coming from skilling stuff sort of. And so like my guess would be this might be skilling related. Maybe this is equilibrium, but then why would they not use equilibrium? Yeah, there's a lot of weird things like that I just don't really know. One idea that I could possibly have that I think would be maybe kind of cool would be perhaps you could get a like skill cape perk or something like that, always active or something, and you can just use that. But I don't know, just because it's a new icon, it's so hard to predict because again, I think we expected a lot of returning stuff to come in, and it's all those like new stuff that it's so up in the air of like what it could be. Yeah, it kind of almost also looks like a scarab if you look at it kind of from like as if you were looking at it from above. But again, I really don't know what that could relate to.
It's a really tricky one, and I'm gonna need some 5-head people in the comments who can, like, you know, break it down and like triangulate the position of Jagex's headquarters and figure out what the hell's going on. Yeah, really drawing blanks on this one. But considering it could be behind a max cape or a 99, and it is an orange tile, it's going to be significant. So I think we're going to have to wait and see for that one.
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, hey, give us your theories below, because I'm sure everybody's got their own hot take on one.
Absolutely. Although, moving on to the next tile, based on what you've just said, this would, unless this is all totally false, this would kind of change up our thoughts of combat relics being behind bosses, because this next tile is the Demonic Throne, which is nearly 99 construction. I can't remember the exact construction level, but it's nearly 99 construction. And the reward is, in my opinion, not my favorite Leagues 5 item, but probably the best Leagues 5 item, the Thunder Kopesh.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody wanted to see the Kopesh come back.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how much people wanted to see it locked behind 99 construction.
Yeah.
I think that might, upset a couple people, but I mean, if it's anywhere like construction has been in the past, insane methods from Fire Sale, Golden God, construction is just straight up one of the fastest skills to train that you could just literally knock out in like 20 minutes or something like that. Yeah, it's a bit weird. I'm not sure where this is going to fit. In fact, in what we officially know right now, actually, and this is like the one thing that I'm just not sure about, is that if you actually go and you like click on the like column 2 tile, it makes a joke about like using the wrong lever. So that's the thing that I like. This is kind of where I think the speculation versus like what's leaked and the weird stuff starts to come in, because it's like in my head, I thought that the Demonic Throne would have something to do with column 2 reward, because they talk about wrong lever, which you can use in your throne room. But now people are like, and that's a tricky thing for me, is where I'm not 100% sure if maybe this was an old placeholder, maybe something changed.
Because the wrong lever could also be... because the wrong lever could also be referenced in the Wilderness, right? Which is where you got the Thunder Kopesh from.
Exactly, right. And that's a tricky thing for me, is I'm not sure, like I guess to be fair though, that would be an interesting joke about the wrong lever. You get the Kopesh from the Wildy, except it's the wrong lever. You get it from
exactly. It's a bit of a pun, isn't it? Yeah.
Cool. Okay, I like that. I actually think it's kind of cool. Okay, I can see it now. That makes sense.
Interesting.
Okay, maybe,
you're back on it now,
right?
Yeah, you're back on it now.
I totally
yeah. So, I mean, it's really interesting, and we could talk a lot about this. However, it's not going to be a hard tile based on one other tile that we know is coming up, and we could jump into that one next, because I think this is a huge one, and that is the tile with the valuables on from Varlamore House Thieving, and the reward locked behind this one is Golden God. But before we get into Golden God and how insane it is and how easy it's going to make, doing 99 construction and all of that stuff, the valuables is a red tile, I believe. Is it red or is it orange? It's an orange tile.
I think it's an orange tile, yeah.
Yeah, it's an orange tile. So for me, getting 50 thieving and just getting some valuables from a house, that would be a green tile. So surely it makes more sense for this to be get 65 GP from a valuable, which would mean going out of your way to do Colosseum, getting 8,000 glory for the Gladiator rank, and then selling your valuables. And that would make more sense as an orange tile for me.
Yeah, I think... well, first off, getting level 50 thieving with no thieving relic, that does suck, okay? That is a hard that is a hard task to get done, okay? But no, I kind of agree with you, where I think that, like, I don't think that a relic like Golden God would come from something this insane. But I mean, I also don't know. Production Prodigy is not very hard either, right? Like, and that was pick, right? Like, and I mean, Production Prodigy also has a lot of gold making potential with things like gems, right? So, I don't know. I'm not sure. I like that though. I like having that 2-step of you need the thieving requirement and you also need to go and get some of the Colosseum done, which again, it's very similar to like the Inferno Mage, where you're not doing all of the Colosseum. You just have to get enough glory to hit that requirement. And I think that would make a little more sense.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think I had a little look into it, and realistically, if you played it well, if you know what you're doing in Colosseum, you could just go as far as like wave 5. You get 8,000 glory from wave 5, pretty much. You could do it in less than that if you picked certain modifiers, because your glory is based on the modifiers, on your speed doing the waves, all of that stuff. So I guess it depends how early you get into this, and that would be the only thing that would make me wonder how soon this would be accessible. Because for a lot of people who maybe haven't done Colosseum, it's maybe a little bit daunting to go as far as like wave 6 and, you know, take on those first horrible south spawns and all of that stuff. Yeah, but it does make perfect sense, because Golden God is maybe the most overpowered relic that we've seen here revealed so far. I don't know how you feel about that, but Golden God is insane.
Yeah, I think at least Golden God in its full former glory, which has a lot of effects. Mainly the biggest thing that it does just straight out is it just automatically alks whatever item you have, and it just keeps alking it over and over again with a chance to save it. So you end up like tripling your cash stack on a noted item. And of course, there are some really high valuable items that you can buy that very quickly and rapidly you'll start having, you know, billions of gold that you're just like dropping as you walk, because your inventory can't handle that much gold. So it's crazy. It also gives, I mean, free magic experience. It had a prayer effect as well. And I mean, infinite gold just solves so many, like there's just so many skills that it solves that, like, again, like the crazy thing about Gridmaster is like, we don't have to think about what this is up against, right? It's not up against anything, which is really cool to it's very weird for me almost, because I'm always thinking like, oh, what am I going to have to give up? But just go and do it. Yeah,
absolutely no sacrifice or the value. Golden God's insane, and you don't even need the magic or rune requirement for Golden God. It's just free alking everywhere. I'm not saying this is necessarily a tile, if it is locked behind Colosseum, that you could realistically get before 55 magic anyway, but I'll have to wait to be proven wrong. Maybe it's just, you know, sell some valuables from house thieving, in which case this is definitely something you go out of your way to do ASAP. Golden God is crazy, free alking everywhere, money to complete and solve, as you've just said there, any skills that are causing you a bit of a headache. Some tiles there, like the Demonic Throne, which has the Khopesh behind, by the way. Golden God into Khopesh? Man, I'm honestly just a little bit speechless about how ridiculous and how perfect this all seems to be, like, lining up, you know?
And I think what you mentioned about only needing, like, if you only need wave 5, by the way, to do the Colosseum, I think the first, like, really challenging wave is wave 6 in the Colosseum. Like, that's where it really starts to feel at that, like, you know, end game pinnacle level. I think you can learn wave 1 through 5, honestly, if you actually, like, do your best to try to, like, stuff out and just learn the setups. Like, it is nowhere near as bad as, like, 6 through 11. Those are the much tougher. So I think not even having to get there is, again, very similar to me as the Inferno Major, where you only have to do those like easier waves. You don't have to get into the more complicated stuff. And you also, you don't need to make your resources last as long. Like, you can be more aggressive with just chewing through your food and stuff when your end goal is only to get to wave 5.
Yeah, I will say, in terms of getting to wave 5, it is probably assuming that you pick the right modifiers, which can make it a bit harder. But just as you've said there, like the Inferno tile, you only really need to know the basics to tick this tile off. And there's plenty of guides out there that are really, really useful that will help you learn that. But you only need to learn the basics. You don't need to be a PVM god. You don't need to even consider yourself to be good at the game. Similarly to leagues, I would say, do not be afraid of this. Just jump into it. Feel free to die a bunch of times. You will get it. Golden God is worth it. Golden God is just gonna make your life so easy.
Yeah. And I kind of also like that, like, I mean, you mentioned the Khopesh and stuff. It would be really cool to sort of lock the Khopesh behind getting, like, wave 5 done.
Yeah.
You know, or wave 5, wave 6. Like, that would be kind of cool, because I mean, if you could literally just 50 thieving and then get Golden God, and then I would just train construction 99. Like, if that's actually the route, I'm right out the gate.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I'm thinking. You know, I've been sat here tonight staring at these leaks, knowing that, you know, I can't get into it and play it right now or theory craft fully until we have more tiles revealed. I'm already formulating like a sort of plan to rush this because, you know, Golden God into Kopesh quite early on will make everything else very trivial. Personally, I'm not even sure I want to do that. I don't think I want to make it too easy for myself, you know? I'm really enjoying that there's so many different routes.
Yeah. What tiles have we missed? Or I think
there's a few we've got left. Yeah. So the last two, there's the shark icon tile and the Zaros symbol. So should we do the Zaros symbol tile?
Yeah. Let's talk about that. We got the Zaros symbol.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, a lot of theories of what this could be, but I think there's only one that really makes sense, and that's probably Desert Treasure 2 bosses, right? Whether it's just kill any Desert Treasure 2 boss, whether it's kill all 4, it is a red tile, so this is expected to be difficult. And we'll get into the reward in a minute, but what do you think, first of all, about the icon and what that task could be?
I think if I had just seen this, my first thought was like the Ruinous Powers prayer book coming back.
Yeah.
Right, getting access to that. Because it's a task, I always presume it to be a task. I think Desert Treasure 2 just makes the most sense. I think what would actually be a really cool tile would maybe be to complete one awakened Desert Treasure 2 boss.
I would love that.
Again, pushing that like PVM potential and letting people access it a little bit earlier if they feel skilled in that. But by the time you have a bunch of other powers, it will be a lot easier. And only having to do one awakened, I think, lets you kind of go for some of the easier ones. Like Duke, I think, is typically perceived as one of the easier ones and stuff. But also, like I think honestly, even Vardorvis with a lot of damage is like having high damage does change a lot of these fights as well. So
yeah. Oh, definitely. This is going to be way easier than main game. Although I was going to say you say that, but Duke is actually one that just like the timing threw me off so strangely. And I thought that Whisperer was the easiest. It was just an absolute slog. It's such a long fight. But obviously in Gridmaster, with all of these relics, with all of this power that you're going to have, it's going to be so much easier. So yeah, if it's one Awaken boss, I think that would be great for getting people into it, helping people realize that these things maybe aren't as hard as they're kind of knocking them up to be. Obviously, you've got Leak's power, so it's not going to be that easy in the main game, but getting people into PVM, I think, has got to be one of the secondary objectives of game modes like this, right?
Yeah, and I mean, like what you said about Duke, man, I totally agree with you. I just picked Last Stand, though, and got to cheat death, so when he did his one-shot move, I just sat there and just blow piped him down, and I'm like, yep, this is Leagues. Like, I'm just doing it my way, so... I
meant in the main game, Matt. In the main game, it's even stranger, because the fact that he just switches up from the, he, like, reduces his attack speed by a tick, like, later on in Enrage, that caught me off so many times, man, and obviously, not having Last Stand, man, I died a lot to Duke.
Yep, it was pretty fun. It's very cool to skip over the strategy guide, so to speak, and just kind of do it the League's way for a lot of these bosses. So much fun. The most fun I've had.
Yep. And that will be more of a thing this League when we know we have to do a sub 30 Inferno, which is crazy, but we won't talk too much about that. I think you've just done a reveal video on that, so I will link that in the description if anyone wants a bit more info on that Inferno tile. But the reward for potentially a Desert Treasure 2 kill boss, or 4 bosses, or an Awakened boss is a strange looking helmet. A Berserker helmet with, I don't know, it's got like a party hat on it. I really have no idea.
Yeah, I don't. This was tricky for me to think about. You got Berserker with. I mean, okay, listen, I don't know what the party hat is. That's a tough part for me, but I think Berserker comes to mind, which was I mean, it was one of the most broken relics we've ever had. It basically means that always will do your max damage at the start. Your first hit is always max damage, and it also has like that Darok set effect where like the lower health you have, the more damage you do, and honestly, it just let you do some crazy stuff. Also with mage and range, like multiple projectiles would get the max hit. So like, I remember doing like Leviathan in like 25 seconds or something like that. Because like you I mean, you don't even take damage at the start of the fight if you just pray properly, and it's like, it's so slow at the beginning that there's no, you would just kill Leviathan so quickly, and I think Berserker was so much fun, and I mean, that would be, in my opinion, a very valuable thing to get from an Awakened boss.
It almost feels like it makes sense for it to be Berserker Relic. It is a fan favorite. It would be great to have something from a league slightly further back. I know Leagues 4 wasn't that long ago, but yeah, I would love to see more stuff from older leagues. I would even love to see stuff from Leagues 1 and Leagues 2, maybe even Shattered Relics, but Berserker was so much fun. And I think if it is Berserker, what's really interesting to me is how this might influence people's decision on what mega rare they choose first. Because Berserker is, as you just mentioned there, with the Shadow, 3 max hits from distance if you attacked from far enough away, you would one-shot most bosses in the game outside of raids. You can't necessarily do that with the T-bow, and you definitely can't do it with a scythe, so I wonder if it is Berserker, does that influence people's mega rare decision? What do you think?
I think so, for sure. I think, to me, I think the big question is going to come down to sort of where do you, as, I guess, a player, when do you want to do something, right? Because if you already gotten all the Awakened bosses done in the main game and you're confident with them, yeah, you're probably going to want to do this early. But if you're somebody who's not as experienced, I mean, realistically, this is going to be something you're saving for the end, along with things like the Inferno 30-minute time, right? At that point, I don't making your entire game plan around a relic that you're only going to be using at the very back end of the game is the best idea. You probably want something a little bit more general use, and I kind of like that. I think it's good to have a couple options and give people the flexibility to go early or to wait and get more overpowered first.
Yeah,
a good reward though, and yeah, I mean, if it does work the way it worked with Shadow, that thing is going to be absolutely disgusting to see again.
Yeah, and we had this debate in my Discord, was that, people were saying if they do rush that Toa tile, T-bow makes the most sense. You could have a T-bow be naked and you would still be strong, but if you pick the Shadow by itself, it's just going to noodle. If you pick a Scythe by itself, it's not going to hit very well. But again, if you pick a Scythe, you're going to do really well against all of those Awakened bosses. It's going to be a hell of a lot easier than, doing them first. So yeah, I'm with you on that one. Who knows though, because we don't know if it's Berserker Relic at all. Who knows? This could be a new piece of equipment that you actually have to wear that, might be similar to something like the Fremenic jewelry, because it is a Fremenic item. So whether it's something that just gives you crazy stat padding in all of your stats, as well as, a ton of prayer bonus, strength bonus, magic strength, all that kind of stuff, could be that instead.
Yeah, I actually do think that something like the Fremenic jewelry would be my second guess. It does look kind of like Dagonoth or Fremenic-y.
Yeah.
And I think one thing that I'm a little bit worried about a little bit with something like Berserker coming from, presumably Desert Treasure 2 bosses, is that it might feel kind of bad if you're somebody who hasn't done these bosses before, and you're going to feel man, am I going to have to really sit down and learn this, because there's such a massive power spike lock behind this. And I think that having a bit more of a passive bonus, good statted jewelry, which doesn't really change that much. It's not at the end of the day, it's just damage, right? I think that might be a bit of a cooler solution. Still give incentive to go and do it, but not make that issue of oh man, I can't do this. But who knows? I don't know which direction they'll go with that.
I think stats, obviously they do make a huge difference. Depends what you're doing. If you do end up picking Shadow, if this piece of equipment has everything, including magic damage, it's huge. We know that Sunlight Spear is coming back, which, I know we're not going to get into that reveal too much, but, big up the Sunlight Spear gang, because that is my absolute favorite Leagues 5 item, and it does rely heavily on prayer bonus. So if this has a ton of prayer bonus, it's insane. I guess it depends what you're focusing on using, because it seems like we're going to have a couple Echo items, if not maybe more than that haven't been revealed yet. And some of them do kind of compete with each other. It's hard to use more than one. You're not going to want to use Dog Sword, Kopesh, and Sunlight Spear, because they all kind of fulfill the same thing. It's like a special attacking weapon, right? So I guess we'll have to wait and see, but super exciting so far.
Yeah, I'm I'm excited to see it and stuff. And I think especially those big like combat relics are probably the ones people are most excited to see, just because. Especially I think now that the game has been stepped up so much higher with things like the Inferno speed. Like I would not have predicted this is Desert Treasure 2 if they didn't just show the Inferno like 30-minute time, because that's crazy.
It's fast.
That is definitely
it's pretty fast.
Yeah, it's pretty big step up.
Yeah, it's huge. I think with the Sunlight Spear you're going to rip through it quickly, but anyway, we'll save that for another time.
Yeah.
Anything left on the Zaros tile?
I think that's it. I think that's it for me.
So there's one more left, and it's a tile with a shark on it. the relic I can only describe as like a smelly shark, a smelly fish. What's going on here? I have no idea.
Yeah, so I have an interest about this. I think most people, when I saw this, I thought it was like, oh, just catch a shark, right? Just like chop maples or, mine golden ore, right?
Okay.
I have an idea, okay? Because it's actually not a shark. It is a cooked shark, okay? And there's a big difference there. I guess that is technically a shark in the game files. I think that instead of catching a shark, I think this is going to be either cook a shark, or even better, I think it's going to be eat a shark. Because I think that is way weirder to think about, to eat a shark. I want that to be the tile.
I guess that kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Because it's not a Wrangler specific tile now. Now it's everybody's got Production Master, right? So it's a race.
Yeah, and you can also get cooked sharks from some PVM activity, right? Like there's ways of getting that as well. And I think if it was eat a shark, it adds like I don't know, it just really makes you think, because you can't buy a cooked shark anywhere, you know what I mean? I looked this up, I was like, can you buy a cooked shark? No, you can't. So it's like you go do like a boss for it, like you're trying to do like Zulrah or something, it's just there's a lot of weird stuff that could happen. And with Production Prodigy, that's the cooking kind of unlock and stuff. And I think a really cool power of like a relic that could exist from this, other than your fish are stinkier, right? Because I mean, obviously, no, I think it would actually be double healing from food, which is something the Sunlit Bracers had, the counterpart to the Soul Spear.
Right. That is interesting, and that would be really strong. Wranglers rise up first of all, because if this is anything to do with a shark, you're going to do it super quick. But also, you're now going to have crazy fish that you'll have access to anglerfish really quite quickly with Wrangler. That double healing is crazy, and I think the overheal. Not sure if it was bugged for a while, but I'm sure the overheal was doubled as well.
Yeah. I was doing like 144 HP stuff. It was disgusting. Like if you're just, it's crazy how high you could go. It makes it so much easier to do like all the like wave content and stuff when like it's very difficult to get one shot at that high health. Like very hard.
Yeah, Zuck can't even one hit you at that HP. So I mean that's a bonus for anyone who's scared about the Inferno tile. But also non-Wranglers are kind of winning out here, because I remember back in Leagues 5, I really couldn't be bothered on one of my playthroughs that I picked Valamore to go out of my way to get good healing food for the Colosseum. And as soon as I had those Sunlight Bracers, I was fine just doing the rest of the content with like Tuna and Karambwans, man. Like that was more than enough with the double healing effect. It was more than enough. So even if you're not a Wrangler picker, regular food that you can buy from shops, your Sharks and Karambwans are going to be far more than enough for the entirety of Gridmaster.
Yeah, and I think like honestly with Karambwans especially, when you can like combo eat and get the double healing of both, like man, there are some times where I was like 10 HP or something, and you just like whoop, and now you're like 99 to get it. It's like, oh, okay, well that was pretty cool. So I love the Soul Spear too, but those doubled your healing were so insanely good, and I feel like they do not get enough love. Because I think they just kind of get passed by, and double healing is really powerful, really nice. Makes a lot of bossing a lot easier. Also makes it so you don't have to bring as much food too. Like you can sustain so much more. Yeah. And I guarantee you, like if you think getting to the Inferno Mage is going to be a challenge for you, or getting through the fight caves with limited food, like double healing, it's essentially a second inventory of food, because you're probably not going to have brews. That early, I imagine. So.
I really hope it is that now, man, because I've been looking at this tile all afternoon, and I have to be honest, I haven't come up with a single theory, not even one. So I think that's really interesting if it is double healing. Like you say, going to be good for getting into all PVM. Makes the higher healing food even more ridiculous, particularly anglerfish. Hunter foods become crazy as well. Like you'll only need to carry a couple of them and you're set. So yeah, that's a really good theory. I like that one. I'm locking that one in now. I hope it's that. Jagex, don't disappoint us, please.
And also, since it's not on like the same row and column as like the other resource, that was like to me the big one where I was like, there's got to be something different with this. Like it's got to be a step up. Yeah.
I mean, the alternative, to eat a shark, which, is hilarious. Everyone just stuffing it down as quick as possible. Eat a shark, catch a shark, cook a shark. The alternative to that, which I think would be a little unfair based on how much of an advantage Wranglers would have, would be, catch a big shark. Or one of the collection log items associated with fishing. This could be a placeholder and it could be something like that. And personally, although I think that does give Wranglers a bit of a head start, I wonder whether there would be alternatives for like woodcutting and mining, or whether we will see more tiles that are based a bit more around RNG, because so far I don't see many of them. And I don't know how you feel, but in the spirit of Old School RuneScape Bingo, I know they want to make this game mode accessible, but if there's no RNG tiles, it doesn't feel like a bingo to me. There needs to be a bit of RNG in this.
Yeah, I would love to see something like a big shark tile. I've got the big shark. It was not a good time. And even though Wranglers would have an advantage early, if we have access to all three of them, then it doesn't really matter. Like if I have to go out of my way to mining a gold ore is not going to take me that long, right? Like it's going to take me what, I'll have the harpoon.
You could be there in 10 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, and let's be honest, if it is the big shark, I could be there in 1 minute, or I could be there for a whole day. Things get a little bit wacky. So I think it would be pretty cool. One thing especially to notice though about Animal Wrangler with Big Shark is that that 50% chance if you fail, really good for things like sharks. And I think that it will significantly speed up a grind like getting the big shark. And I'm totally with you. I want to see more tiles that are a bit more RNG or a bit more like collection log focused, because I think that is a big part of bingo, not just PVM challenges or getting max cape and stuff.
Yeah, there are plenty of collection logs behind skilling tiles. Some of them arguably a bit grindy with insane drop rates, but it's not out of their remit to expand those boosted drop rates to things that were in the collection log that maybe weren't in previous leagues. And I'd like to see a few more of them. What we have so far is great. Not complaining. This is shaping up to be a fantastic game mode that's really scratching that league's itch. But I would just like to see a few tiles here that encourage you to repeat a bit of content and grind a little bit. That's in the spirit of the game, right?
Yeah, I think actually, if I could ask, because I actually had this idea for a while that I think there is this sort of lack of an end game compared to leagues, where like leagues, a lot of people hit tier 7, but then you still have like dragon to chase, and even when you get dragon, there's still, that's like maybe half the points. There's still so many more you could be getting, especially with the entire world unlocked. And I kind of realize is that like there will be one tile left that will not only unlock its reward, but also the row and also the column reward. But you're already done. And that might be a little bit weird. So I guess what are your thoughts on that? And I like a little idea to share.
My thoughts on the lack of endgame,
or just like what do you think about like completing the grid, basically?
I mean, I definitely want to do it. I definitely think I will, and I don't think it will take too long based on what we're seeing so far. If I'm honest, I think it kind of reassures me that the fact this is a 4-week long game mode, there is an end goal in sight. You aren't gonna feel at any point like, oh man, I have to get 10k more points for Dragon Trophy. This is such a slug. And there are so many different ways to go about completing this grid that we can see so far that I think it opens up the realms of possibilities for future leagues as well. So personally, I'm very excited, and I like the idea that you will eventually get to that last task, boom, tick it off. For me though, it does leave the question of what the hell are those last 2 row and column completions going to be? Because if you complete the grid at that point, why are you still playing? So they've got to be something crazy. And I have a feeling I know what you're going to say is locked behind one of them. Go ahead.
No, I don't actually know what.
I've got a theory then, but I'll save it. I'll save it.
The big thing for me is the fact that like it might not be your last or row or column, might be different for other. Maybe Inferno is easier for you to do than Awakened Desert Treasure, something like that, right? So it might be a little different. My only idea was I thought it'd be kind of cool that like once you finish the grid, you can like prestige and like start all over again, but you get to keep like 1 power. So you get to like start again in Lumbridge or level 1, and you're like, okay, I start with the Kopesh. I just go nuts, you know? Like I thought that would be like a cool idea to give it like the ability to like replay it a bit.
You know what? I saw that you posted in the Discord and you said, can we make boards randomized? Mm-hmm. I think that would be what I would suggest. You know, if there was a prestige option and loads of people complete this within a week, because let's be honest, some people will. You know, the option to prestige, but then randomize your board a little bit. You know, if there were other options, or if the board just got totally rejigged in a different way, in a different order, that maybe put all of the hard tasks just in, you know, in one row and just made it like really quite difficult to get anything you like, or, you know, ruins your game plan. That would be really interesting. I would like that as a prestige idea. But how about this? My thoughts on what I thought could be behind the final column or row completion would be that it unlocks all the echo bosses around the game.
Ooh, yeah, I'd love that. Oh my gosh, wait, yeah, that's actually so cool. I was that's what I thought
you were going to say. I thought we were on the same wavelength there.
No, honestly, I completely didn't even think about that. I feel like echo items came to mind, but I forgot about echo bosses. Yeah, that would be awesome. I remember back in Shattered Relics, do you remember like the speculation we get this like Sage boss as like an end game thing? And I think that like for a lot of people having like some kind of end game challenge to go for would be kind of cool. Similar to the there was like the 6 Jad challenge and stuff in leagues and stuff. And I think that would be awesome actually to get all the echo bosses and stuff, and to be able to, because you'd have all access to a lot of stuff as is. So it'd be pretty fun to just go and try them out.
Exactly. I mean, it's in the game code, right? Just turn the switch on, Jagex. Come on. I think that would be really fun, though, for you to flex that kind of full Gridmaster League's power. Because let's be honest, outside of 6 Jads, outside of maybe Inferno speed runs, outside of Awakened DT2 bosses and the new Delve boss we got, there doesn't feel like there's going to be that much to flex it on. You could argue you've got the whole game, you're not region locked, it's going to be a load of fun. But I think that'll only take you so far, and you really want to go crazy with everything you've got. I think Echo Bosses would be a great final unlock. But again, because everyone's tile is going to be different, it would have to be like a, well done, you've completed the grid, now all the Echo Bosses are unlocked, rather than, you know, behind a row or column. But
yeah, almost like an Elite Four in Pokemon. When you get to the summit, you got to fight the Elite Four now. And
that'd be great.
Like, oh, that would be so cool. Like a full gauntlet of all of them. Yeah, I'd love that.
I'd love that.
Although I think when you mentioned Doom, I was thinking like, man, there's gonna be somebody with like Doom like 1055 or something like. It's just a crazy number. They're just full setting it.
I mean, how far did Wadega get in base game? I'm sure it was like 150 or something ridiculous.
I don't even know. It's like, I feel like every day you check and it's like, oh, now it's like 200 or something like that. Like I lost count or something.
Yeah, I mean, that guy is crazy. I'm interested. I'm definitely going to be checking him out to see how far he can get with Gridmaster powers, assuming he's playing. I hope he is.
I hope so too.
Yeah, there is the full set of leaks.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest. When I saw this and it first came out, I was like, "Oh, that's cool! Like people are having fun and just like throwing up random icons." And I was like, "Okay, wait, there's actually like some files, about this." So
yeah, there's some in there that have just been thrown in as like, you know, someone's thought, "Hey, this would be cool if it was here." But some of these, I think by now, based on the mods' reactions, which, you know, I'm gonna pop Husky's reaction on screen now. Yeah, I think some of these are legit, and you know, I think it's really added to the Gridmaster hype because we've been having a real slow drip of reveals so far. We are a week out, less than a week out, and yeah, until today, it's been slow, and now it's full speed ahead. People are starting to put together starting routes. People are starting to formulate plans. This is exciting stuff, man. I'm so hyped for it.
Yeah, I'm really excited too. I think for a lot of people, they were like, "Oh, why aren't we getting a leagues this year?" And I'm like, "Bro, we are getting a leagues this year." You know what I mean? Like, it's not the same, but it's pretty cool. It's a cool new format. It's fun to think about things from the different lens, and I really hope that this encourages them to keep going with these like smaller events. Like, I don't think you need like a revolutionary new idea every single time. Like, I think you can kind of get away with this, and I think people will still come to play these smaller events and, you know, have fun. And, you know, maybe you do get the grid done in 1 week, pack it up, and you go get ready for sailing next month, right? Like, and I think that's totally fine too.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of events to look forward to this year, and I think we should realistically, as a community, be quite grateful that Gridmaster has turned out the way it has, because it is a mini league. It's a league 5.5 essentially, and the fact that they've rolled this out in this format is really promising for League 6, because it shows they're willing to think outside the box. It shows they've got the tools to do that, and that they've even put some new things in here that, you know, could inspire us for League 6. So yeah, I'm super excited for it. 4 weeks, 8 weeks, man, it could be 2 weeks. I would still be hyped for it. I'm just glad it's, you know, a full month long.
Yeah, I'm excited to give it a shot, and just see what people do. There's a whole competition now, so that'll be fun to see what the you know, world first strategy of going through the grid is. I'm really excited for that as well.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that it would be good maybe in a follow-up episode, if we get a chance before Gridmasters, and maybe touch on that a bit, because I'm sure we've both got some interesting ideas of relics we would design if we were in the top 3 of grid first completions. But I'm just gonna, you know, expose myself. That's not gonna be me. I would like to think that I could do that on a good day, but there's just so many more elite gamers, man. It's not gonna be me. But I do have some great ideas for potential relics that maybe we could get through in another chat.
Yeah, I feel like regardless of how much like planning I do, how much strategy making, I remember getting like clue compass, and I was like, all right, throw everything away. I'm literally just doing clues for 2 hours because this is so silly. Like, this is my like, and that's how I've always been with leagues. I see something stupid, something silly, or somebody will tell me like, did you know you can kill Temperos in 1 cycle? And I'm like, all right, hold up. Like, we are gonna go test this. Like,
it's that SpongeBob meme where he's jumping off the chair. It's like, I'm a head out, and he's
like, I gotta go figure it out.
Yeah. So good. But that's the fun of it, man, and I really can't wait for it. We will be getting more leaks, I'm sure, more reveals, if not leaks. You know, hopefully we get some more official ones.
And they probably have to redo their whole schedule at this point, right? They're like, oh, God, that was Thursdays, that was Fridays. Like,
yeah. Although part of me does think that they kind of maybe not fully intended all of this to come out so soon, because I think some people have realized that in the URLs there were release dates, and some of them were yet to be revealed. So we have probably jumped the gun a bit here. Jagex, we're sorry for talking about it, but someone's got to do it.
Yeah.
Send
us some fake ones next time, you know? We'll analyze those as well.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, man, it's been great chatting. I'm hoping we'll get another chance to chat before Gridmaster, but if not, everybody check out Doubleshine's channel. I'm sure we're both going to be kind of live streaming the event, doing reveal videos, so all the good stuff is right here.
Yeah, and I think like Scritic has always been, like, in my opinion, like, your videos both for leagues and outside of it are just like so top quality. I'm really glad that like Jagex has been working with you, because dude, I watch those and I'm like, damn, those are hype as hell. Like, they're crazy good. So
did you like the sailing video? The sailing video was great.
Sailing video,
I really enjoyed working on that.
Barlowmore video, I was getting so, like, that was awesome. So I'm glad to see it and stuff.
Appreciate
and
that.
It's good to be back, you know what I mean?
Hell yeah, here we are. Here we are, man. So until next time, everybody, love you all. See you for Gridmaster, if not sooner. Catch you in the next one.